group. We're working on like a big landscape assessment, each community, all the first responders. Seeing how we can better like provide the health and well-being expertise. I think of like initiatives really to kind of like help the helpers in that moment.
Oh, good. Thank you.
It is coming from like a social worker.
Hey, Gary.
Yes.
Aloha. Aloha, everyone. This regular meeting of the Kailua Neighborhood Board is called to order at 7:02. This is our last meeting of the year. And so we've been enjoying a holiday potluck, and there's a good amount of food remaining. And so anyone that would like to join in, please feel free, help yourselves. It is all delicious.
With Bill talking, I can't hear.
Because this is a hybrid meeting, the first order of business is always a roll call. Emily
Thank you.
Andrade. Emily? Bruce Andrews,
Here virtually.
present remotely. Jennifer Vera, present. Anna Malia Kia, present. Kellyanne Kobayashi,
It was here.
she brought food, and I think she's going to join us remotely. David Laia, present. Jade Lau,
Present.
present. Lavani Lipton, present. Max Markrich, present. Kate Brighter, Kalama Souza,
Present virtually.
present remotely. Malia Tomes,
Present remotely.
present remotely. Steve Trecker, Jeremy Trexon, present. Evan Weber, present. Gary Weller, present. John White, Donna Wong, present. And I am here. We have a quorum with 13 present in person and 3 remotely. Let
Hi,
me
Bill. I just logged on.
Okay, Kate Ryder has joined us remotely.
Yeah, thank you.
And not with us are Emily Andrade, Kellyanne Kobayashi, and Steve. Will recess in December, resume in January, and the Kailua Neighborhood Board regular meeting will recess in January and resume on February 5th. First Thursday in January is January 1st. We're recessing. Are there any other announcements tonight? Any announcements online? All right, any audience announcements? Okay, we'll move on to reports from HPD, HFD, and Ocean Safety, starting with Honolulu Police Department.
Hello, good evening and happy holidays, board members and members of the committee. My name is Lieutenant Akagi. I'm one of three lieutenants out here in your District 4. With me, let me introduce, with me is Sergeant Michael Krekel. He's in charge of the Kailua area, and with him is Officer Zelinski. He is one of the officers who patrols your neighborhoods here in Kailua. I want to give the stats for the month of November. There were 3 motor vehicle thefts in the month of November compared to 1 in the previous month. There were 7 burglaries in November compared to 2 the previous month. There were 30 thefts compared to 18 the previous month. There are 5 car break-ins compared to 7 the previous month. And there are 0 robberies this past month compared to 0 the previous month. I just wanted to leave you guys with the upcoming holiday season. Wish you guys all the best in the upcoming holiday season, but just be aware that, you know, we have a rise in thefts and scams that occur during these holiday seasons. If anybody calls you, especially the kupunas, asking you to bail out somebody for money, asking you money to bail out somebody and ask you to wire it or something like that, we don't do that. The police department does not do that. You know, we only accept payment at the station. So if you guys get any calls like that, that'll be a scam. A few of the burglaries that we did have last month was due to unlocked doors. So make sure we're locking our doors and securing our residences to prevent any type of theft or burglary. Other than that, I'll available for any questions from you folks.
David Laya.
Yes, I understood that there were 2 burglaries in the Monowilly area in the early part of November. I'm hoping maybe you can share with us a little bit about those burglaries. Were they in-home invasion type burglaries, or maybe also if you could share with us, I think that you mentioned there was an increase from 2 to 7 burglaries in this month, in this past month. Maybe if you could share with us a little bit about what you're seeing as the type of burglaries that are occurring.
Absolutely, good question. So when we have a rise in burglaries like that, it does spark our interest as to what's going on in the community. So based on what the 7 burglaries, what I was able to find, 2 of those occurred from unlocked doors. And after the one residence got burglarized 3 times. So they got in through possibly an unlocked door, and they came back 2 nights in a row. And that was one residence. The other 3 that occurred were the Ko'olau Golf Course. And the other 2 that occurred were, one was a neighbor conflict and one was a husband, PRO kind of issue. So nothing that is like a spree going on. It's kind of just sporadic right now. And the one that the house got burglarized in 3, the 3 burglaries for that one house, we did make an arrest. There was an arrest associated with that. So.
All right, other questions this evening? Online? Any audience questions? Yes, ma'am, if you could use the microphone, please.
Yes, in the Lanikai area recently, there were a couple of those traffic counter strips on the roads to count the traffic coming in. Was that something that HPD played, and do you have the results of that count, or did another agency take care of that? Thank you.
So if my understanding is correct, you're talking about those little black things they put across the road. Those are put in by I believe the DOT or the state. And what they're exactly doing, I'm not too sure. That would come from them. Yeah, we don't install those things, the counters.
Yeah, on a city street, it would be DTS probably. Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
Happy holidays. Honolulu Fire Department.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Captain Alan Hackbarth from the Kailua Fire Station. Here to give the stats for last month. The incident statistics for November 2025, we had 0 structure fires, 1 wildland brush fire, 0 nuisance alarms, 0 cooking fires. We had 10 activated alarms, 80 medical alarms, 7 motor vehicle collisions, 2 mountain rescues, 1 ocean rescue. And for our fire safety tip for December, we just want to bring your attention to Christmas trees. Dried Christmas trees, wreaths, and other natural decorations are extremely flammable. Remove them from your home as soon as possible and consider recycling your tree at a participating green waste center in your area. And New Year fireworks. Please leave the fireworks to trained pyrotechnic professionals and enjoy the public fireworks displays. On Oahu, firecrackers are legal and require a permit to purchase and use them. Go to firesafehonolulu.com and follow our links to purchase permits. That, any question?
All right, questions for Honolulu Fire Department? Gary Weller, do you have a question? No, okay. Online. Any audience questions for HFD tonight? All right, well, mahalo. Merry
Thank you. Happy
Christmas.
holidays.
And next, Honolulu Ocean Safety Department. And it's not Lieutenant Tristan Fabro tonight. Aloha.
Hi, aloha. Lieutenant Chelsea Bizik, work out in District 2, which is the Windward Operations, based out of Kailua here. We did have, our numbers here seem large, but 80,000 people in attendance down at the beach. It's just going to get higher as Christmas break comes along. Our guards on the beach have done about 5,000 preventatives last month, 750 first aids. That's kind of like man of war stings and Band-Aids and that kind of first aid, minor first aids. About 10,000 people had public contacts. We've had around roughly around 3 to 6 major rescues. This is where our jet ski usually is out there and assisting in maybe an OC1 or kayak or kiter that's in distress, lost their board and swimming out there in the ocean. Everyone's accounted for. The rescues went smoothly. There will be, because of Christmas break, more patrols on the ATV on the beach. So if you do see our guys kind of driving around, it's because there's more people and there's a lot of area to cover. Is that it?
All right, questions for ocean safety tonight?
I do.
Jade Lau.
So last week, the H&L alert went out about an aggressive shark at Kailua Beach. What makes it an aggressive shark? Because I must have had 30 people ask me, what determines it's aggressive? And my answer was, it's a shark. And they said, but what makes it aggressive? And I said, I don't know. I don't work for ocean safety. So ocean safety, what makes it an aggressive shark?
So we think aggressive sharks are sharks that are darting in and out of the shore. They're coming in for some reason. Maybe there's a smell or something. They're a little more aggressive. Also, the more people that stop our guards on the beach to tell them they've seen the shark, and the more public that lets us know, like, oh, it was darting close to shore. It was 5 feet off the shore. And then another person comes and stops us and like, oh, he was right over here, came in close. That's a little more aggressive. And when you see them kind of thrashing in the water, that's aggression. I know, it is not necessarily nudging people or anything like that.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
To my memory, this is the first ever aggressive shark report at Kailua Beach Park that we've received on the alert line.
Yeah, it actually came in as a 911 call, not just beachgoers. So,
Okay,
and then we just put the signs out for about 4 hours and then we assess the area again. If he's gone, we pull the signs, beach is open. That was actually down at Castle's side. But because Kailua Beach is all Kailua Beach, it came out as Kailua Beach.
understand.
Yeah.
Other questions? Any online? Any audience questions? Online, a question from Bob Mowing. Bob Mowing online, go ahead.
Yes, there we go. My question is, any anticipated date of completion of the Ocean Safety Center across from the boat ramp?
I do not have information on when it will be finished or anything like that. I know the company that we're working with that's building it is here.
There was supposed to be a one-day road closure for installing a sewer across the street. Do you know if that happened last month?
That did not happen during the day that I know of. And I'm not sure if it happened at night either.
Okay, all right, so postponed.
Sorry about that. I don't have answers on the building.
All right. Well, hopefully it won't be like the day before Christmas.
I'm saying maybe the end of next summer. That's maybe in hopeful here.
Okay,
Thank you.
a lot of optimism. All right, well, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
We'll move on. Next order of business is board business with committee motions. The first motion is the Kailua Neighborhood Board supports Charter Amendment number 148 that changes the name of the Clean Water and Natural Lands Fund to the Land, Natural Resources and Historic Preservation Fund. Some of the rationale was published in the agenda. Donna Wong, would you like to further introduce the motion?
I don't, but is Esther here? Do you want to mention something about your charter amendment?
Just with regard to time frame or in general?
So why you made the amendment?
Oh, sure. Okay, aloha and good evening, everyone. This resolution was based on my request on an amendment that I made to the Charter Commission. I believe it's number 148. And the reason I felt that it was meritorious is that I helped to establish the Oahu Historic Preservation Commission in recent years. And it's actually been quite helpful in working with the DLNR State Historic Preservation Commission. It was never intended to be an impediment to development. It was to have greater efficiency between the city and state governments. Anyway, there is no funding for historic preservation in general. And we happen to have a current fund for the city called the Clean Water Natural Lands Fund that has a $37 million surplus and gets about $8 to $9 million annually. I feel that it is appropriate. I'm not creating a new fund. I'm simply authorizing the fund to have historic preservation projects to be an eligible activity. I do note that next week, Monday on the 15th at 2:30 p.m., the commission will be entertaining this specific proposal under the budget and finance category at 2:30 p.m. And as soon as we get the WebEx, I'll make sure to send it to everybody, but that was the genesis for it. And I had talked about a lot of projects that cost a lot of money, including the historic preservation project at Kalama Beach Park with the Betcher Estate, which costs a lot of money. That would have been an eligible activity. So again, I felt that I identified a source of funding. It seems to be aligned, and I was told that there were over 276 proposals that are going to be vetted. And I'm just trying to do my job by getting support for it. And I think that it's a good idea. So thank you so much. Do you have any questions on that?
No, thank you. Thank you, Esther. Any board discussion on the motion? Online? Any audience discussion on the motion? All right, we'll call for the vote. Emily Andrade. Bruce Andrews.
Aye.
Aye. Jennifer Barra. Yes. Anna Malia Kia. Yes. Kellyanne Kobayashi. David Laea.
Abstain.
Abstain. Jade Lau.
Yes.
Yes. Lavani Lipton. Yes. Max Markrich.
Yes.
Yes. Kate Ryder.
Yes.
Yes. Kalama Souza.
Aye.
Yes. Malie Tomes. Malie Tomes. Steve Trecker. Jeremy Treskin. Yes. Evan Weber. Yes. Gary Weller. Yes. John White. Donna Wong. Yes. Chair votes yes. The motion passes by a vote of 13-0 with 1 abstention. The next motion is also from Planning, Zoning, and Environment Committee. The Kailua Neighborhood Board supports Resolution 25-268 that urges the Department of Planning to provide a public database of all discretionary permit applications, including conditional use permit, minor and special management area, with a typo, minor permits. This resolution is currently processing. The rationale is in the agenda. Donna Wong, would you like to amplify the motion any?
The committee feels that this motion is necessary because there's many discretionary permits that the public never sees. And we as a board that look at projects, we look at what permits are needed and having a really difficult time following SMAs. Major, hardly ever see a SMA minor or a conditional use permit minor. So this resolution just calls for DPP to add these discretionary permits on their website so that anyone in the public, elected officials, can look at it and be informed and help residents understand what is being proposed in their community. So I urge the board to vote yes on this motion.
All right, we're open for discussion. Any board discussion on the motion? Jeremy Treskin.
All right, Chair, thanks. Obviously, I've been watching the news and have seen that the DPP is having some issues with their current status and system with processing applications. And obviously, they've shut down the counter for new applications. So, I think this is a great motion, but, the timing of it maybe just kind of piling on. I think we should give them a little bit of time to fix their system, get back online, and then provide some different guidance on some things we'd like to see in addition.
Yeah, and as they fix their system, this might give them an opportunity of what to fold into it too. Other discussion? David Laya.
Donna, I curious if the height limitation that was overridden on the most recent construction project in Kailua, would those types of proposals be highlighted in the website or in with this
I don't know what actions are taken to decide that a project can go over existing height limits, other than it comes under Bill 7 under HRS 201H, because it's affordable housing. So that I don't know. Very good question, though.
Other discussion? Very Weller.
In addition, I do a lot of research, and it's getting more and more difficult to reach city and county and state employees. If you go to most of the websites, there's no longer a director or a deputy director's phone number. And in many cases, there isn't even an email. So if you want to make a complaint or ask something higher up than just the clerks and the people that answer the phone, there's no way to get to these people anymore, where these phone numbers and emails were always on the web pages before. So it makes it very difficult for us to find information when we need it. And if we don't find it on the website, then there's no one really to call to figure out how we would obtain that information. So I wanted both the state and the city to know that this is a trend that's been happening for the last 4 or 5 years, that these phone numbers for these people are disappearing and their email addresses also. And in the case of the building department, there's only one number, and half the time it's so busy you can't get through. And that's the only way you can reach the deputy or the director's phone number is through that number. So having more information on the websites would be very important.
Other discussion? Max Markich?
Yeah, I think that this is actually premature. This was introduced in September, but it hasn't been debated at the city council. And so, DPP hasn't had a chance to weigh in and provide testimony, for instance. I think given their issues at the moment, I think concerns about privacy, you're urging them to put up a public database where the scope is not entirely clear of what the contents of all those permits may be. I think that you may just want to wait until this goes a little bit further at the city council and then come back and try again. That would be my suggestion.
Other discussion? Donna Wong?
DPP did weigh in and they oppose it. Yes. Correct? Esther, is that correct? Or maybe it was maybe I'm thinking of another bill.
I don't think that they have.
But it doesn't matter, it's premature. We just it's not premature. We just take a position and we hold it. We have that position and we're not cramming or missing a deadline. Then we find out it's due on the 7th and the committee doesn't meet until the 10th, and then the board doesn't meet until the following month. So if we take a position now, then when the hearing is, the chair just sends in our testimony.
Jeremy Truscott?
I just think it would be more prudent to wait and get more information and see what DPP and other stakeholders say.
Yeah, I just had a kind of a follow-up for Gary's response. And yeah, we all would like more information, but I assume they have limited resources. So it's going to take some kind of labor to take all these applications and put them on the website, right? So they're going to need additional personnel, additional funding, or additional resources probably to do this, along with digging themselves out of the hole they're in right now.
Jennifer Barra.
I guess I just want to counter that the permits that we're talking about are in a totally different section than the building permits. I mean, most of them are. There's a lot of different departments within DPP. It's a huge department. So I don't actually think that a lot of these are being processed with the people that are at the counter reviewing like the building permit. So I think that this is a great motion and I fully support it.
Other discussion? Any discussion online? Any residents in the audience like to comment on this? All right, I call for the vote. Emily Andrade. Bruce Andrews.
No.
No. Jennifer Barra. Yes. Anna Malia Kia. Yes. Kellyanne Kobayashi. David Laea. Yes. Jade Lau. Yes. Lavani Lipton. Yes. Max Markrich. No. Kate Ryder.
Yes.
Yes. Kalama Souza.
Abstain.
Abstain. Villiers Tomes. Steve Trecker. Jeremy Truskin. No. Evan Weber. Abstain. Gary Weller. Yes. John White. Donna Wong. Yes. Chair votes yes. The motion does not carry. 9 in favor, 3 opposed, and 2 abstentions. Our final committee motion this evening is also from Planning, Zoning, and Environment Committee. The Kailua Neighborhood Board is concerned with the permit application for a single-family house on Kaopus Silt Basin Conservation Property. This basin was designed to fulfill an important function in settling sediment before entering the Kalilipulu watershed. Donna Wong, would you like to further introduce the motion?
The silt basin in Enchanted Lake, Kalilipulu, has been a problem for decades and hasn't been maintained. Just now, thanks to Leilani and her committee, there's some real movement to start to get the city to start taking care of and cleaning up this silt basin. In the meantime, the privately owned section of the silt basin is, the owner is proposing to build a house. It's in a floodplain, and we would like to see the silt basin cleared up to hold the capacity of water and runoff it was meant to, before we start any building around the silt basin. So I urge your vote yes on this motion.
Lavani Lipton.
So for those of you who don't know where this is Upper Keolu. It's not too far from the stoplight where you come into Enchanted Lakes, across from that Norfolk Pine and Olamana Heights subdivision. And a silt basin, really, it's what Donna said, it's a settling basin. So all of the
dirt and soil and runoff and trash and oil, things that come from the roadways. They come underneath Kalanianaole into a hardened concrete channel and they deposit into this settling basin. The city and county is responsible for a portion of it. They have not maintained it. They have not cleared the overgrowth. And so it's not able to fully function. And so our concern, of course, is that things are just allowed to keep accumulating, it will become fill, and then perhaps it will become another subdivision. I mean, that's the nightmare. So we want it to serve its purpose, because what happens is all of that deposits into Keolu Hardened Channel right next to the skateboard park. And all of that goes right into Ka'elepulu Pond that we know as Enchanted Lake. So this is a major vehicle for us addressing water quality. And the water quality subcommittee has been addressing this for years with our requests to the city and county. And we just had a Ka'elepulu Stormwater Town Hall. And this was the #1 solution that was voted on by the community. So the Department of Facilities Maintenance is taking a look at it and researching it and vetting it in their own way. But I'm fully behind this motion and thank the Planning and Zoning Committee for bringing it forward. And I hope that the rest of the board will agree.
Other discussion, Jeremy Truskin.
Yeah, curious, who owns the land now? And what is it zoned? Yeah, is it zoned for a single family residential and who is the owner right now?
Yes.
Donna?
Yes.
It's zoned residential.
Yes.
But who owns the property?
St. Paul's Electric.
Divided between the city and county and Paul's Electric, which is a major contractor.
Okay, so an electrical contractor owns part of it and the city owns the other part?
Correct.
Are they tenants in common, or how do they own it? Is it like split up, or is there like certain portions that this is private and this is city? Different TMKs?
My recollection is that the city sold the portion of it to Paul's Electric. But I also understand that the city made water quality commitments back at the inception of Enchanted Lake, that this was going to be part of the water quality mitigation for what would go into Ka'elepulu Pond.
Yeah, so I guess, is it Paul's Electric? So Paul's Electric owns their own lots themselves, and we're saying we don't want you to build on?
I believe there are two lots. There's a city lot, and there's the lot that was sold to Paul's Electric. Donna, anything further on that?
And there's a cemetery. And I'm not clear on who owns the cemetery.
Yeah, I guess my question is like Paul's Electric is owned by a private company. And will this motion prevent them from building on, land that they own individually?
No, this motion would register that the Kailua Neighborhood Board is concerned with the function for settling sediment. And to any extent that a single family residential home on part of the property might impede the ability of Keopa's silt basin to function as intended is our concern. We would be registering a concern which DPP would take into consideration as they consider the building permit. So we don't get to decide.
Yeah, so I'm just curious, is there anything that encumbers them from building at this time? Anything in their title report, or are we just saying, hey, like, we don't recommend that they build on this lot?
Yeah, I'm going to call on Kate Ryder, who I think has more of the history on this. Kate Ryder?
Hi, yes, thanks, Bill. Yeah, so it isn't actually residential. It is zoned conservation. It's a general preservation district. It's a conservation district, P2 general preservation. It's a little confusing on the website, depends on what Zoom level. It kind of looks like it changes, but the property class, is residential. So they're getting charged a residential rate, but it is a preservation district. And so the building permit is for a caretaker's residence. It's not actually for like residential, like general residential or for personal home. It's for a caretaker's residence for the cemetery. So it can be a dwelling for the cemetery caretaker. I kind of wonder there hasn't been a caretaker, or it doesn't seem like there has been a need for this, you know, in all the time that it's been owned. I don't know if something has changed significantly about the cemetery and how that's being used. I'm not sure. The cemetery is owned by, it's a small burial plot of 0.14 acres. It's listed as owned by 4 owners. But I think a lot of our concern is due to the fact that there are requirements associated with owning this property and they haven't been met. There's been stream maintenance, weeds, vegetation, overgrowth, property conditions. And so, yeah, it's kind of a complicated ownership of piece of property, but it's not like this is like a residential area and somebody wants to build their house on there. It's a little bit more of a complicated situation. And there's also, because of kind of what's happened with the history or just the vegetation of the area, it's almost become a wetland. And so there are reports of like native endangered birds there. So any building permit is going to have to take all of that into consideration, and it would have to be done in a way that was like very monitored and made sure to adhere to best management practices. And but yeah, so just to clarify that we're not just talking about somebody's like regular property. This is a conservation district, as far as I understand.
Mahalo. Other discussion? Jade Lau.
So I'm actually looking at the TMK map. And although the property says it is residential, there are also notations that say it is conservation land. And something that we should all be aware of is this property is only paying $300 a year in property tax. So when your property tax is that low, there should be an understanding that that land is not for profit. So I think that is something that really needs to be made public is what we're seeing the onset of a bait and switch, something we should all be very, very cognizant about, because it's not the first time we've seen it. So if this is our opportunity to raise some red flags up front, then we're doing our job and we're doing it appropriately. So Donna, thank you.
Other, Lavani Lipton.
Yeah, so I hear Jeremy's concern, but really I always look at what is the intent of the motion. And the intent of this motion is just to, someone used the word register, that we are concerned that it hasn't been maintained, that the requirements that were set forth in the purchase, they haven't been upheld. So we're just kind of making it known and making it formal by voting on it, that we're concerned about this piece of property and anything happening to it.
Other discussion online? Any residents in the audience like to comment on the motion? All right, call for the vote. Emily Andrade. Bruce Andrews.
Aye.
Yes. Jennifer Berra. Yes. Anna Miliakia. Yes. Kellyanne Kobayashi.
Yeah, yes.
Yes. David Laia. Yes. Jade Lau. Yes. Levani Lipton. Yes. Max Markrich. Yes. Kate Ryder.
Yes.
Yes. Kalama Souza.
Yes.
Yes. Malia Tomes. Steve Trecker. Jeremy Treskin. Yes. Evan Weber. Yes. Gary Weller. Yes. John White. Donna Wong. Yes. Chair votes yes. The motion passes unanimously with 15 votes. We'll move on with additional local agency reports. Board of Water Supply. Danny Ornelas.
Hi, good evening.
Aloha.
Hi, Danielle Arnellis with the Board of Water. So for the month of November, there were 4 water main breaks, all 8-inch main breaks. These were all installed in the early 1960s. And the message from the board this month is to be very careful of any utility scams. There have been a few instances recently. However, the Board of Water just wants to remind customers to be vigilant for utility scams and people impersonating any Board of Water workers. A reminder, Board of Water does not accept payment via gift cards, wire transfers, or app payments. And Board of Water does not call customers outside of business hours, which are 7:45 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. If you should receive a suspicious call, please ask for their name and number and just hang up and call us back at 748-5000 to verify. Any shut-off notices, we do not do any sort of text to anyone's phone. And if you're approached by someone claiming to be from the Board of Water, please ask for their official ID with the city logo as well on it. And all Board of Water workers drive usually green marked vehicles. There are a few white ones out there still. And I do have our city issued work badge with a photo. And then one last holiday conservation tip. Holiday gatherings and cooking can increase water usage. Just a simple reminder to turn off the tap while prepping your food or scrubbing dishes. Remember, every drop counts. And then an update from a question last month regarding the start date of the Kapa'a new water tank. There's no start date received yet or scheduled for that. Any questions?
Any questions for Board of Water Supply tonight? Online? Any audience questions? All right, mahalo, Danny. Merry
Thank
Christmas.
You too. Take care.
For those standing in the back, there are plenty of seats up front, and please make yourself welcome to our potluck food. All right, we will move on. Next report is from Marine Corps Base, Hawaii. Christy. Christy, we're ready for Marine Corps Base Hawaii report.
Hi, good evening. I hope you folks can hear me okay.
Yes.
Hi, good evening, Chair and board members. We have finally returned back to work. So our team has officially returned to full operations following the recent lapse in appropriations. Thank you to the community for your patience and the continued partnership during that time. A few things did occur within the early part of November, we were able to continue to move forward with plans to hold our makahiki ceremony gathering. During this time, we were able to join with other members of the community who are involved in restoration projects within the Ahupua'a of Hi'ia. We had the National Estuary Research Reserve, Paipai o Hi'ia, and Kako'o, and other restoration projects all come, and we had the makahiki ceremony, which we've been blessed to be able to do for the last couple of years. We also, in the weekend of November 21st through 24th, hosted the Holiday Classic for the Special Olympics. And we did this with Joint Base Pearl Harbor. We've been able to host this event for the past 15 years. So we're excited to be able to continue to be able to do that. During the lapse in appropriations, as you know, our active duty members were still engaged, and they were able to plan these two events with very minimal support from staff because, of course, of the lapse. Upcoming, we have the Kaneohe Christmas Parade this coming Saturday. The Marfor Pack Band and Colonel Jeremy Bevan, along with Mrs. Bevan, will be participating in the parade. We hope everybody will be able to come out and join that. And then on Sunday, December 7th, we'll be commemorating the December 7th attack on Pearl Harbor and the Marine Corps base with a ceremony. In addition, every year we have the Buddhist monks from Japan that come to visit and lay wreath on the Lieutenant Iida Memorial. So we'll be hosting them as well. December 13th, the Marine Corps base, in conjunction, we have a partnership with Paipai o Hi'ia. December 13th, they are hosting their 25 years of restoration work. They have a website where they're having everybody sign up. They're anticipating 2,500 people, and we support them because our signature for our restoration work at Nupia Pond. So I wanted to give a shout out for that, and I'll put the link for their sign up and detailed information if there's anybody who wants to participate with that. And then moving into January, January 6th, Mokapu Elementary will be having their opening ceremony for the new elementary school. And the school is currently coordinating and planning that. And that's all I have for now.
All right, mahalo. Questions tonight for Marine Corps Base Hawaii? Donna Wong.
Yes, I understand that the Marine base has been pulling up mangrove in Kaneohe Bay. Is that what's happening?
Yes, there's a mangrove removal project that is on the H3 side of the Marine Corps property.
And is the same thing going to happen in Kailua Bay?
Is there mangrove on the Kailua Bay side of, I don't think there's mangrove on the Kailua Bay side of the base.
Yeah, that's my question. Is the same thing proposed for Kailua Bay?
Not that I am aware of.
Okay, and how long is this project going to go on for in the Bay, in Kaneohe Bay?
It's estimated to be complete by the first week of February.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions tonight? Gary Weller.
Same questions about the mango removal. Do you know if the contractor was actually ripping the mangrove out of the ground?
From my understanding, they were only cutting it at the base, not pulling anything up.
And during the government shutdown period, was there inspectors watching the contractors? Or did the contractors not work during the shutdown period?
I am not sure, but I can find out and bring an answer next February.
Is it the base environmental department supposed to be watching the mangrove removing? Or is that NAVFAC's responsibility?
I do not know how they divvied out the responsibilities, whether it was environmental or if it's contractor, but I can ask.
I would really like you to find out
Okay,
because the requirements for mangrove removal is to cut at the low water mark, never to pull it out of the ground.
correct. That's what I understand.
And I'd like to see the, what's it called? The SOP on the contract, the statement of work. Could you get that for me too, please?
I will ask if we're able to, what the process is for that. I will definitely ask.
All contracts from NAVFAC are available to the public, so you
Okay.
shouldn't have any problem getting that.
Thank
you.
If you are able to find the answers relatively soon, you can also email them to me. I will email them to the board and add the response to our meeting materials drive.
Okay, will do. I will do that.
Okay, mahalo. Anything else for Marine Corps Base Hawaii Online? Any audience questions? All right, mahalo.
Mahalo. Have a good evening and Merry Christmas.
Next order of business is a presentation, and then following that will be resident and community concerns. Tonight's presentation is on the Lanikai Transportation Management Plan implementation. And I think presenting tonight is John Nagushi, the Deputy of Department of Transportation Services.
Aloha, good evening, Chair. I know on the agenda it does say Director Roger Morton is supposed to be here, but I hope that you will be okay with having his second because Roger and I, we kind of junk and post sometimes. And because I grew up in Kailua and he grew up in, geez, it must be somewhere near Kalani. I think this is more my kuleana than his. So thank you for allowing us to be here tonight. Again, John Nouchi, Deputy Director, Department of Transportation Services. I have here tonight with me Kelly Akasaki. She is our Chief Engineer of our Transportation Engineering Division. And tonight, we're here to provide a brief update on the implementation pieces of a couple of items included in the Lanikai Transportation Management Plan. In our many meetings that we've had with both residents of Lanikai, the Kailua community, and beyond, and a lot of those facilitated in this forum, one of the highest priorities was to maintain safety and preserve access to and from the Lanikai Ka'ohao shoreline caused by an overabundance of cars and a limited area and space to legally park them in. So I think that was our problem statement. That was our thesis, that we had to come up with different ways to mitigate that. And we really do appreciate the long determination of the community to come together with us and work towards some of these items in the plan. So in collaboration with the community, we believe the most agreed upon proposal involves firstly the enforcement of parking on the unimproved shoulders, which is currently, to be very clear, parking and blocking the unimproved shoulders, that is not legal in the city and county of Honolulu. But we do recognize that there is a lack of general knowledge, both on residents and visitors' behalf, of that parking prohibition. So DTS does agree that what would be helpful, what would help the community just be very crystal clear about where parking is allowed and is not allowed, would be installation of no parking anytime signage along the lengths of Alapapa and Mokulua drives. And again, that is in an effort to clearly demarcate where parking is not allowed. To that end, too, we know that we installed additional signage on Kailua Drive leading to the Mid-Pacific Country Club and the pillboxes. And along that small stretch, it has, to the most part, been very clear about where people cannot park on the unimproved sidewalk and has improved, the throughput and access there. So that's a very small example, but we do know that in many ways, signage does work. Clear signage is effective. And we are looking at a signage plan right now that would sign both Alapapa and Mokulua and could install up to 100 additional no parking anytime signs along that loop. So regarding the cross streets that connect Alapapa and Mokulua, we are looking at connecting those connecting those streets as one-way streets, which would then allow us to add on a very minimal amount of paved width to those roadways. And once we, in some places, once we have enough width, we can actually therefore then mark parking stalls on the cross streets. And at that time, we can also sign where parking is not allowed and clearly demarcate with extra pavement and markings where parking is. So all this work, it is a somewhat significant amount of work involving pretty much most of the roads in the majority of the roads in Lanikai Ka'ohao area. So we are preparing as part of our upcoming fiscal year budget request an appropriation which would cover both parts of that project, the signage being one and the pavement and striping being the other. And we will be including this request in our budget and plan to work very collaboratively with Councilmember Kia Aino, who has actually been the leader of a lot of these efforts and has been hand in hand with us to help us understand the community needs here. So we do want to work with Councilmember Kia Aina to successfully allocate this money for the following fiscal year budget, which starts, the money becomes available if appropriated in July of next year. So pending the successful passing of this budget item, we will be completely ready to execute all of this work in one piece. I guess that comes down to right now, I do want to bring up, we have heard varying opinions from the community, both from those who live in Lanikai and those who live in Kailua and those that live outside of the neighborhood too. And we are really glad to be here to talk about that. We've discovered that there is an even split of voices who want us to ban the parking in the loop immediately. Just if we can, just go in, put up signs, ban parking along the loop. And because Kelly is a great manager and she knows how to manage the funds that are in her division as part of DTS, we believe we may be able to start this work and dovetail it with the new budget monies that could be coming in to complete the paving. But we also recognize that there are those who do not want the work done in phases, with the opinion that doing the enforced parking ban in the loop will induce more congestion on the side streets if they are not ready and paved and striped and signed with improvements. So understanding both sides of this issue, we do want to respect, it has been somewhat of an even split in the calls and the emails that we have been receiving. And we understand that work, when completed, either way we do it, will affect residents and visitors. So if we're talking about sequencing, how we implement this, we would like this to be the opening of a conversation and discussion with this neighborhood board to explore whether the implementation of that parking signage in the loop and the one-way plus marked parking on the cross streets should be done as one effort commencing after July, or should be done in two phases. So I can take any questions right now regarding, I guess, the two pieces of the project, and we can perhaps have a discussion about how that phasing might work. And if anybody has any strong opinions about one way or another, I leave that to Chair to have as part of this discussion.
Okay, John, appreciate your succinct description of the plan that was developed in coordination with the community. The agreed upon plan that had the endorsement of Kailua Neighborhood Board, Lanikai Association, and there were some compromises in there, but I think everybody is aligned with the plan. We are now to the point of implementation, and we're concerned about the implementation sequence. You have succinctly put two paths in front of us. One is for signage and cross-street upgrades being done together as part of fiscal 27, which starts next July of 2026. So that perhaps would mean that, allowing 6 months to get into the new budget year before things can be contracted. We're looking at maybe 12 to 15 months to see implementation. The alternative would be to put up no parking anytime on the loop signs as soon as possible. The concern is that doing that before the cross streets are upgraded could be problematic. Is that a good summary?
Exactly. Very, very succinct, and no one's ever called me succinct, so I appreciate that.
Okay, well, I mean, you had 15 minutes for your presentation and you're well under it, so that's succinct. Is there anything else you'd like to present before we open it up for discussion?
No, I think that's actually the intersection, the juncture that we're at right now. It is quite hard for us now, just being that we have heard from a lot of places in the community where people would prefer, and I think both sides have a pretty good argument. Relief now is one, but also inducing demand is another one. And I think we can agree that both sides have a valid argument. And so if I could ask, Chair, I mean, this is a great forum for people to discuss why they feel one way or another. And, it could be very helpful. And especially, the purpose of neighborhood boards sometimes is to kind of garner a position of what is best for the neighborhood from both the immediate neighborhood, the Kailua neighborhood, and just other people who participate and visit in Kailua, to kind of give us a little bit more guidance that we just want to be confident that whatever path we choose, it is one that is most supported by the community. And I'm not sure that we know what that is right at this moment right now.
All right, well, I think what I'd like to do is open the floor for resident comments first. And I know we have some Lanikai residents here with us tonight. And then board discussion second.
Okay, thank you.
So we're open for resident and community discussion specifically on the implementation of the master plan for Lanikai. And we open it for residents first. Other resident and community concerns on other topics will be a separate agenda item after this presentation is done. So if anyone would like to comment, please come to the microphone.
Yeah, my personal feeling is I certainly appreciate all the work that everyone's done on this, and I know that there's a lot of different ideas on this. But I'm here to talk about what I would like to see. I would like to see no parking on Mokalua Drive and no parking on Alapapa on both sides anytime, no parking. And I'd like to see that implemented as soon as possible, because we've had Kalaheo like that for over 40 years, and no one seems to be complaining about that. I mean, there might be people, but I haven't heard anybody say, hey, this is not working here on Kalaheo. And I've noticed that it lets the traffic flow through, and there's no big traffic jams, and you don't have cars parked opening doors into the traffic. We've discussed all this, but I think also, like the city and county of Honolulu, the Parks Department for Kailua Beach Park immediately, instantaneously threw up a bunch of, you can't be in this park after 10 p.m. until 6 in the morning or 5 in the morning. And those are just temporary signs. There's all over the place, and that just happened in a blink of an eye. I didn't even hear about it. All of a sudden, they were up. So if you put the signs up, and all of a sudden it just becomes mass chaos, you just take them back down. So if you're paving the streets, which I think is fine, I'm not going to weigh in on that. That's going to take longer, and it's going to be more permanent. With the signs, or just metal pieces of signage that are telling people they can't park in that side of the street. I think it would make it much better, much safer. And any arguments saying right now that if those signs are put up, it's going to force more traffic onto the side streets between Mopalua and Alapapa. You can't get any more cars parked there right now. I mean, that's just a fact. Everybody fills that street up. Like today, for instance, I was there. I live right in the epicenter of all this. The street was so crowded, people were parking in the street, double parking, parking behind each other, parking right up against the stop signs. On all those streets there, it's just totally packed every day, even in the bad times. And so that's mine. I don't want to take up too much more time, but I think the Department of Transportation would be doing everyone a favor if they would just put up those no parking signs and stop talking about it. And I'd like to see that happen. And I think everyone would appreciate it after it was done. Thank you for listening to me. Appreciate it.
I'm Mike Rosa. I'm a resident of Lanikai, and I've been the chair of the traffic committee for decades, it seems. First, I want to acknowledge Chuck. I agree with everything you said. Been a long time, but I agree with everything you said. Let me see if there's any middle ground on the options, because just as Chuck said, if you were to come into Lanikai during Thanksgiving, and we're going into the Christmas and holiday season now, it is unbelievable. The traffic is everywhere. The illegal parked cars are everywhere. They're in the walkway, the pedestrian way, the bike way. They're arguing with each other over where the parking spot is, et cetera. So it's already here in its, to use your words, chaos, utter chaos sometimes, and it's very disruptive to the community. So what I would offer for the Department of Transportation to see if this is workable is that do implement the no parking on the loop, because the safety hazard is real and it's every day. So do implement that. If you cannot do the no parking, the one-way street and the parking striping at the same time, which I think is a preference, get it all done as quick as you can. But if you can't do that, there will be a tremendous impact on the side streets once you put the no parking signs on the loop. Everybody will be going to the side streets. So I would recommend that if you do that, implement a no parking from 10 to 4, regardless if it's striped or not, on all the side streets and hill streets, which is much like the special enforcement district that exists on 3-day weekends. Only now you would be expanding that to accommodate the fact that you have no parking on the loop, but you still have too many cars in what I would call the Lanikai cul-de-sac. So I would look at how you can expand the special enforcement district during that period while you're waiting to phase in the one-way streets and the striping necessary. Other than that, again, I want to thank the Department of Transportation. You heard us, you heard our community, you heard Kailua. We want to accommodate fishermen, paddlers, swimmers. We're not trying to exclude anybody from being there. What we are trying to do is make it a safe community in the middle of the day when all the cars are there. And you'll find that in the morning and the afternoon, traffic is manageable. People come and swim and recreate and hike all morning and all afternoon. It's the midday that is really an issue. So whatever you do, you phase it, or you do it together, please be cognizant that our goal is to reduce the number of cars in the middle of the day. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Tom Sestair. Until a month or so ago, I was the president of the Lanikai Association during the well, now we're in our 14th year of this travail. I agree with everything that Chuck said and everything that Mike said. I would just put this caveat, and I think it's a way that the city can save some money. I would agree with the no parking on the loop, no parking on the side streets 10 to 4, just like we have special enforcement. Wait a year and see if that works before we have to go and seek more money and to pave and change the configuration of the streets of Lanikai. There will be pushback on that, I can tell you right now. But it's, you know, we're observant people. I mean, the Hawaiians were observant people. And what we've observed is that the special enforcement district works. And so my suggestion, John and Zakasaki, that would be put the signage in, see how that works for a year. And if that isn't successful, then move to the phase where you're making one-way streets. That would be my suggestion. I think it's a win for everybody because the city doesn't have to incur more funds and that way we can legitimately say to our constituents, which we have in Lanikai, as you probably imagine, that, listen, we have tried every avenue to address your concerns. So with that, thank you. Thank you, John.
Hi, my name's Tina Gregg, and I'm thinking that the best way to do this is a two-part thing. The most important part is to get the thoroughfare so that it. And the way it is now, the bike lane is a passing lane. And bicyclists, we're gonna have a tragedy at some point, and all this testimony will not go in their favor. So it's so important to get those no parking signs, make it like Call a Hill. And then the two part, it will be easier for you guys because it will show how much is needed for the side streets. So there won't be the pushback because it will be chaos and pandemonium. But yeah, the first, do a couple phases.
Hi, I'm Judy Bishop, and I live about one house from, I think, the busiest beach access in Lanikai. And as they were saying, the side streets are already completely packed and completely chaotic. So I agree with almost everything that's been said tonight, and I would just like to request a couple of things be done quickly, which would be to paint the line that demarcates the bike lane. It is all but gone. And tourists who are coming there don't know it's supposed to be a bike lane, so they're just politely driving along the right side of the road. And pedestrians don't know it's a bike lane, so they're walking on the left side of the road. So it's a complete mess. And I actually called the city November a year ago, and I said, when is this striping due to be scheduled to do? And they said January, February of 2025. So we're now 1 year later, and we still don't have any paint demarking a bike lane. And another thing I'd like to request is we do the 3-day weekend, but I think, Thanksgiving always falls on a Thursday. So why not make that a 4-day? And also when something like 4th of July or other holidays fall and make it like a 4-day holiday, it's worse than a 3-day holiday. So if you could look at maybe doing that. So thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Barbara Alexander, and I live on the 800 block of Kailua Drive. So I am
definitely in favor of banning parking on the loop. And the sooner that's done, the better. It's already been way too long since DTS was given the mandate to come up with a plan. And to ask residents to wait even longer is unconscionable, as far as I'm concerned. I have a question for Ms. Kelly. Why is it that you feel, from an engineering, traffic engineering standpoint, that having side streets, i.e. connector streets between Mokalua Drive and Alapapa be one way, why that will relieve the congestion? And then, as Mike Rosa said, our main goal is we have too many vehicles coming into the community. So how is making certain side streets one way going to help that?
Good evening, Kelly Akasaki, Transportation Engineering Division Chief. So there's several things that came up with the residents, and I just wanted to kind of explain part of it. The reason why the side streets, the Malcolm Mackay streets, need to be made one way is because there's not enough pavement to legally have cars park and provide two-way traffic. Majority of the roadways are only 18 feet. You need to have at least 10 feet clearance for one way. And right now with the 18, that is enough for the two cars, but they park on the unimproved sidewalks. So I hear what Mike was saying about putting up the signs from 10 to 4. Legally, I cannot do that because they're still parking on unimproved sidewalks. So I cannot post legal signs that say you can legally park in an illegal area between the hours of 4 and 10. The only way I can allow for legal parking is if I pave it, I mark it, and then it's on pavement and not on the sidewalk. Does that kind of make sense? Which is why we have to do it with the addition of the pavement and the one-way streets. Does that make sense to everybody? I cannot legally sign 10 to 4 on unimproved sidewalks. So if they still want to park on the unimproved, it will be no parking at any time, or it will be just how it is now, and it will be up to the HPD's discretion. Legal signs cannot be put up for the unimproved sidewalks for a 10 to 4 restriction. They will be put up for extra pavement for legal parking on the shoulders in a parking area. Does that kind of clarify why I can't do some of the requests now?
I'm sorry, maybe I'm not understanding, but I do not see how that will help relieve the congestion.
So it probably won't relieve the congestion, but it will give people legal parking on the side streets. Or we can ban all of it, including the Malcolm Mackay and the loop at all, no parking, but that wasn't agreed upon in our community meetings. It was agreed that we would provide some parking on the side streets, but not to 10 to 4 if it's a legal parking area. So it's not going to help with congestion as cure the problem, because they still would want to park in those streets that now have legal parking areas. But it would help to leave the movement of the loop itself if we do the no parking anytime. So it's not going to prevent all congestion. You might still have congestion on the side streets.
I mean, want to reduce the number of vehicles coming into the residentially zoned community. Okay? And what I'm hearing is you want to go out of your way to give the visitors to our ever decreasing beach access.
The parking restriction will be 10 to 4. When I make these parking areas, the parking restriction will be 10 to 4. They cannot park between 10 to 4.
Okay, but at the same time, you're going to ban all parking on the loop.
Correct. Because I'm not widening the shoulders there. If I widen the shoulders, which means additional funds, I could make legal parking, but that was not discussed in the plan and that was not wanted by them.
You don't have to do that. Sorry, you'd have my vote.
Bill,
Not doing that. I, again, I just do not
them take it
understand.
outside.
When we want less vehicles in the community, how this one way, even with widening the certain side streets, is going to help. Because if there is any parking within the community, people will continue to come and look for their spot, which they know if they just ride around long enough, they will find. And I mean, I'm on the 800 block of Kailua Drive. I see it happening. And as was it Chuck said, I mean, I came home late afternoon today, and on Kailua Drive, where it intersects Olapapa Drive, there were two. One was a big ass vehicle, another was a smaller vehicle, parked right at the corner on both sides of the fire hydrant. And it made it very difficult to make that turn, because usually what also happens is on the other side of the street, somebody's usually parked right at the corner. So I guess my takeaway is I do not understand how allowing, frankly, any parking within the community is going to relieve congestion. What I would like to see, and I've said it to DTS and in other forums before, we need a park and ride lot within Kailua so that people can park and take the bus or walk or ride bikes into the Lanikai community. And that's what I would like to see. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to ask that people not reiterate previous comments, but add new comments, because we do have a group of youth from Olamana who have to be back home by 9 p.m. So we'll continue with resident comments. I'm going to suspend board comments until after we get the youth. Go ahead, please.
Hi, thank you for letting us discuss this. My name is Chris. I'm a resident in Kailua. I am sympathetic to Kelly's view that she cannot authorize parking where parking is not authorized, but I am proposing a slight modification to that. All over the island, people park on the unimproved sidewalks. It is a common thing in Hawaii, and we know it's not allowed, but it happens everywhere. It happens today. People parking in unimproved sidewalks. What we're asking is a lot like a special enforcement district to say no parking on the loop, just exactly what they want. No parking on that entire loop. But on the cross streets, you could have a sign that says unimproved sidewalk, parking, no parking is strictly enforced between 10 to 4. And to put on the sign that says that it's strictly enforced between 10 to 4 helps people see that, hey, it's going to be strictly enforced, but no one is authorizing you to park outside of that. Just like no one gets a ticket now for parking there, people wouldn't get tickets outside the 10 to 4 because police officers know, yeah, people park on the shoulders. I think that a compromise could be to make signs that say no parking on the unimproved sidewalk, strictly enforced 10 to 4.
Tom, microphone, please.
I appreciate you. I appreciate your view on that side to side, but that means that what we've been doing for the last 6 or 7 years has been completely illegal. Okay, but I think Chris made a really good suggestion with respect to that. Plus, I mean, you know, you could get the law changed for certain areas, special districts. And so that is a possibility. So I'm looking at a way to save the city money, frankly. But I also know that there's going to be significant pushback from people in the community about the paving of their setbacks and markers for parking. That as it was just mentioned, we're a residential community. So we don't want to lose that residential nature. And I think Chris had a really good suggestion. I think if you could possibly look into something like that, or let's just change the law, quite frankly. And that can be done. It's a matter of fiat. So in any event, thank you.
This has been most interesting. Some of these people here on their ideas and some of the ideas of my people that are on the other side. We've been arguing about this since I think it was 2013 or something like that, when I forget the name of the Department of Transportation guy. And we've been going back and forth and that. But the long story short is that we actually agree on all this. I mean, the sides have come together, and all these things that they're talking about would actually really work if they would just get out there and do it. And like Chris just put it together and Tom just put it together. You can make that work. I mean, they put the no parking signs up on the ground, saying no parking. They do that at a great expense and time and effort, having those barricades things put all around there. And that works, and yet you can't put a sign up there. I think they could work it out and make it work. I think these guys could make it work from this input. I think their time and they're very smart. Got a lot on their plate. So anyway, thank you very much.
All right, mahalo. Mahalo for all the community input. One more.
One more. So the question I have is, why can you not, or why will you guys not make the loop a special enforcement area where you can change that rule?
I'm gonna start by saying that I don't believe DTS has that authority to create anything. I don't know what this specific special enforcement district people are referring to. It sounds like it's all caps. We have general authority to uphold the ordinances of the city, but I don't know that that is in our toolkit to make something temporarily illegal. If it's illegal, it's illegal. And I think that's what we have been wrestling with from the outset of our conversations in Lanikai. So right now, I think we have outlined the path. We've worked through the plan. And we're just at this point, I want to kind of bring us back to, in the implementation of said plan, are we phasing or are we waiting till one effort, or are we doing a phased approach? And I think that's where I think we've already had a lot of opposing viewpoints here. So you can appreciate where I am trying to, Kelly and I are trying to make a decision here and not necessarily feeling a certain definite one way or the other right now. And that's what we've kind of come today to try to sort out. And perhaps it takes another committee meeting, or I want to be respectful of everybody's time.
Well, what I'd like to do at this point, unless any board member has an objection, what I'd like to do is pause the discussion on this presentation so we can move on to the community and resident concerns, as particularly the old amount of youth who have to be back home by 9. And then we will resume discussion on the presentation with board member comments.
Okay.
Is there any board objection to modifying the agenda? All right, hearing none, we're going to pause the discussion on the presentation, which has been valuable. And we're going to move on to community and resident concerns.
Hello, Mike Kako, Chair and members of Kailua Neighborhood Board. Mahalo for allowing me this time to speak. My name is Brock, and I'm here on behalf of Kineo, an organization that has operated a daily program for youth and young adults, including justice-involved youth on the Kailua campus for 7 years, specifically utilizing buildings 8 and 9. I want to acknowledge and thank those who have worked on the KYFWC master plan. The intention to move forward rehabilitation, culture, wellness, and healing is deeply important. It is a direction our state needs to move towards. I also want to share context that may not be visible in tonight's presentation. For the past several years, Kinea and our nonprofit partners have been actively providing the very kinds of services described in Master Plan, not as concepts, but as lived reality. Vocational trades, GED driver's license and permits, agriculture and restoration, leadership training, cultural identity, mentorship, trauma-informed healing, faith and spiritual grounding, community reintegration, ohana structure, discipline, and purpose. Every day, we work with young men and women who are searching for belonging and building their futures. We do so without state programmatic funding, but with deep community commitment. And with the fears that Kailua must remain a true pu'uhonua, not just in name, but in practice. Our team, our youth, and our partners have put hands in soil, learned trades, restored identity, and walked the hard path from shame to dignity. For us, Kailua is not a facility. It is a place of return, a place of rebuilding, and a place of becoming. And because of that, I want to humbly request that as this master plan moves forward, existing communities operators, including Kinaeha, be recognized as part of the foundation of the campus's transformation. We believe deeply in the vision being presented tonight, and we ask that the people already living in that vision be part of the ongoing story. We stand ready to collaborate, share our experience, and help ensure this transformation is rooted in Ike, culture, and what actually works for our youth on the ground. Lastly, Chair and members, we should be honored to host you, neighborhood board members, state partners, and elected officials, for a walkthrough of our programs at buildings 8 and 9. Come meet the youth, see the work firsthand, and feel the pu'uhonua that already exists at Kailua. Mahalo for your time this evening, and mahalo for your care for the future of our community and our young people. Mahalo nui loa.
Mahalo. Aloha, everyone. Aloha, chair members of the board. My name is Benjamin. I'm a part of Kinaya, and I want to speak from the perspective of the youth served on the Kailua campus. Most of us come from backgrounds where we made mistakes, struggled with identity, experienced trauma, or grew up without support systems. Many of us would have ended up deeper in the justice system if not for the programs on buildings 8 and 9. At Kina'el, we learn things that are not always included in statistics, such as how to communicate, how to respect self and others, how to carry ourselves with discipline, how to build instead of destroy, how to understand kuleana, ohana, and aloha. We work in agriculture, welding, carpentry, mental health therapy, and other vocational skills. We learn Hawaiian culture, cultural practices, leadership, and self-management. These things can change us more than any locked door ever could. For many of us, Kina'el is where we felt safe for the first time. It's where we became someone we can respect. So as the master plan continues, we just hope that the board and the state remember that there are real people already living this vision today. We hope the programs that helped us will be part of the program or part of the future of Kailua. Mahalo for listening, and thank you.
Hello, chair members of the board.
before we leave and before we return home to rest for school and work tomorrow, we wanted to close in the same spirit that we operate our programs, the gratitude, unity, and protocol. In appreciation for the board's time, for the presenters tonight, and for everyone who cares about the future of Kailua, we would like to offer Hakoa, the short warrior chant that honors this aina and the kuleana we share over our youth. This is a mahalo for being heard, for being seen, and for the opportunity to walk this journey together. We invite everyone present to stand with us as we share this hakoa and gratitude. Mahalo nui.
No, it still doesn't give me access.
It's bogus.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for having us.
Would you be available for some questions? Would you be available for any questions? Okay, we know you're on a time limit. We understand everyone enrolled is ages 14 to 24. We know the location is on Kalanianiole Highway near basically where Rise was, and we have a presentation later on tonight on the master plan. Is any part of the program residential, or is it all just
Yes.
daytime?
So we have a residential part of our program, which is 18 to 24. 14 to 16, they can come in as day program or day program participants to come and get stipends or just come and learn any kind of skills of trades or any kind of trade.
Is there any kind of a target or typical length of being active in the program?
So it's really up to you. It's really on your timing where you come in and you finish whatever you gotta do. So we call it a formula where we are given task or from our public defender or probation officers, and we gotta follow that formula. So as long as you're following that formula, you're gonna find yourself in good stepping stones, I should call it.
Well, we are excited by what's going on and the direction that and focus that you're bringing into so many young lives. Are there other board member questions? Evan?
Yeah, mahalo guys for coming and sharing with us kind of your excitements and concerns and protocol as well. It was awesome. My name's Evan. I'm a member of the board here. Just to follow up on your specific kind of request, it sounds like your main thing is, hey, this seems like a good direction, but we've been doing the work and we'd like to be kind of included and at the table and considered as this plan rolls out. So just, I guess that would kind of imply that that hasn't happened yet. And so if there's more that you feel comfortable sharing about kind of, has there been communication or outreach with the people that are working on this master plan? You know, any more you can share about your perspective on why they may not have happened yet and how we can best be supportive of you guys?
Well, for that question, I feel like it's a simple answer where we're just not doing the execution part, where we're just planning everything in and we're not just putting everything into action. That's about it.
Cool. So you guys are just, you know, you're doing the work, you're not planning the work, and you just want
Planning the work, we're doing the work, we're doing everything that has to be done, helping our community in different ways. And I mean, the community loves us. I don't know how to say it, but they always appreciate it when they see these young boys behind me. I mean, the work is always done. First one's in, last one's out, all the time, all day, every day.
Cool. Well, we know you guys can't be here later during the presentation, so we'll definitely carry your questions and concerns forward to the folks who are presenting then, and hope to continue to be in conversation with you guys as it moves forward.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it for having us.
Lavani Lipton?
Yes, so I just want to say mahalo. That was a absolute chicken skin moment. Really, I felt just like so much energy from you folks. And don't anyone ever tell you that you don't have power, because we just witnessed your power. That was a very profound moment. And I've been following you folks for a while, and it's so wonderful to see you and just so proud of the work that you're doing. I would like to make the recommendation that we take this up so that we can explore it more in depth in Donna Wong's Planning, Zoning, and Environment Committee. She has a lot of expertise in EIS, and we often review and give comments. I know there's a challenge with the timeline because we'll be able to meet with her in January, and the comments are due January 31st, but our neighborhood board meeting is not until February. So, but I would like to invite you all to come to her meeting. Okay, it is a smaller room, much smaller than this. Just because we want to really explore and get your feedback. And I'm personally a big supporter of including community voices in community planning. And I think it's really important that you folks weigh in, but also be given credit. Yeah, since you are the developing workforce and the future leaders. And so it's really important to have your voices play a key role in what is being planned for the future. I say that for any community issue, but specifically in this one, especially because it's impacting youth. So Donna, and Chair Hicks, is it okay if we can explore this
Donna,
further?
Okay, we will add that to the Planning, Zoning, and Environment Committee agenda. The committee next meets on the third Tuesday in January, January 20th at 7 p.m. at Kalama Beach Park. So we'd like to learn more and from you and try to generate some comments that you know, if we may, that could be supportive. So thank you very much. Any other board comments tonight? All right.
All right, thank you guys.
We appreciate your patience with our long meeting. Keep up the good work. All right, we will continue with discussion on the presentation for the Lanikai Master Plan. Are there any online comments? Joe Cooper.
Aloha, Chair and Board. Yeah, I'm Joe Cooper. I'm a Kailua resident. I guess I'll just provide a contrasting version of the plan. The plan identifies many of the issues confronting Lanikai and provides a framework for discussion. However, the recommendations do not really provide a realistic solution. I think everybody can agree that the two major factors affecting access to Lanikai Beach are parking and transportation. Lack of parking is an issue in both Lanikai and Kailua. The plan states that as many as 171 cars can be parked on the Lanikai Loop on a busy day. I agree that's a lot. However, without providing an alternative parking space, simply posting no parking signs anytime on the loop will just transfer the problem from Lanikai to the residential streets of Kailua. While the plan discusses establishing off-site parking, and it even talks about using the Lanikai Community Association site, no action to establish additional parking is included in the recommendations. The second issue is transportation, and the plan talks about using bikes and e-bikes and scooters as a novel approach. However, it's not very realistic. I don't know how a family with 2 kids is going to navigate over the hill carrying beach toys and chairs on bikes or scooters. Also, they talk about installing bike racks. I don't know how replacing 171 cars with bikes and scooters, replacing 171 cars with bikes and scooters will require hundreds of bike racks. And while riding the bus is also provided as an option, buses don't have adequate space to accommodate beach chairs and umbrellas that most people bring to the beach. Increasing the frequency to 20 minutes does not provide more storage space for those riders. I would like to see a whole community approach. In my opinion, the first action should be to install the loading zones at the locations that the plan has already designated. I agree that traffic backs up on the loop. First, because of all the volume of the cars, and I agree that that is an issue. And second, it's caused by people opening their car doors and standing in the roadway while they load and unload. And so actually just installing these loading zones would be a simple and inexpensive action to alleviate this. Designated parking could be established in a shuttle service using open air trolleys similar to those in Waikiki. This was also discussed in the plan, but not in the recommendations. I hate the thought of becoming another Waikiki, but having a trolley run continuously around the loop, I think would be preferable to having diesel-powered buses running around the loop every 20 minutes. An open-air trolley would also be more accommodating to beachgoers and could service the town center and Kailua beaches as well. And so it's perhaps a win-win situation for everyone. By not solving the parking and transportation issues before prohibiting parking, Lanikai Beach becomes an exclusive use zone for Lanikai residents only. The community, I don't believe, supports this. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation.
Mahalo. Other online comments? Okay, we will move on to board comments. Evan Weber.
Awesome. Yeah, mahalo, DTS, and yeah, appreciate you guys continue to move this forward. Also, since we haven't seen you in a while, we'll say mahalo as well and congratulations on the completion of the roundabout. Sometimes it's about the destination. We'll leave the journey in the past. But yeah, just wanted to get a response if you have one to the comments from Christoph Sills about basically expanding the current signage to say kind of that the laws are strictly enforced between 10 to 4 as a potential interim thing that since you already have signage like that, would that resolve Kelly's concerns about kind of not breaking the laws basically you have on the books? Is that something that you're willing to consider at this time?
Thank you, Evan. I would say we would consider most things, but in this case, we do have to kind of draw the line that we have laws that we need to enforce. And to imply that, this time period is strictly enforced, it's either enforced or it's not. And I don't know that I can draw a line and say something is strictly enforced as opposed to something that is just posted and loosely enforced. I don't know that it's a very black and white binary line that we have to maintain, and I don't know that we can take any nuances to enforcement here. And I think that's the problem that we are confronting is I think people would like certain laws that have no exceptions to be loosened or tightened in certain framework, and I don't think that that's within our authority to do.
So can you clarify then and if the current 3-day weekend thing isn't that exactly that, and wouldn't this just be using that authority to stepwise move forward in your guys' plan?
Not necessarily. So the barricades that go up for the 3-day weekend, for that timing are actually also still there enforcing the inherent, not the illegality of parking on the shoulder. And we think that because more people, as I understand, this was engineered before I was at DTS, but the council member at the time wanted the reminder that there is no parking. Not, I wouldn't say to a certain extent, it's just a more frequent, and I use the word crystal clear when I was talking about, it does make it crystal clear on weekends that there is no parking on those streets. And so it's hard for us to draw a line about things that are always illegal versus they're not illegal today, or we want to be very clear about what we are, what the rules are. And normally in other neighborhoods, let me just offer this too. We've had places where people want us to sign no parking. So let me bring up another neighborhood just for context. A lot of you might understand or know the Kuli'o'o hike, the back of Kuli'o'o Valley. And on Kala'au Place, they've had, it's not the same issue, I will concede, but they've had issues with people blocking driveways, parking illegally. And the neighborhood did want us to put up a sign at the front and the back end of every driveway. And I think that kind of sign fatigue, the laws are illegal. You cannot park within a certain amount or driveway. You cannot block a driveway. But the neighborhoods wanted us to do signage that was non-standard. And therefore, I think, we do have signage types and signs that are, that comply with the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices and other things like that. So we do want to be careful that we don't fatigue and oversign things. But in this, for Lanikai, I think because it's all the unimproved pathways, I think we do believe that we can make a concession and more densely sign the prohibitions that are already inherent there.
Yeah, and I don't know, maybe someone else has the history better, but I guess there was a decision by the city at one point to enforce the 3-day weekend situation. It would seem to me like that authority could extend to enabling you guys to put these temporary signs in place in the same way that you do during that time period. But maybe that's something we just kind of need to discuss more, and maybe it's something you guys ultimately aren't willing to do. But it does seem like maybe that authority is there. So yeah.
Right, Jennifer Barra.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, I guess I'm really confused if during the, and I don't know if this is correct, but during the 3-day weekends, you can't park between, I think it's 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. Is that correct? Or is
On
it
the 3
24
weekends?
on certain weekends that they have the parking restrictions? It's not a 24-hour, 3-day no parking. There is parking allowed from 10 a from, or what, I don't know, one of you can say, but there is time during those restrictions where you can park. So I guess that's what I think what everyone's saying is that if you're allowed to do it during the 3-day weekends, because under some temporary law that you guys are going after, then what's the difference between that and a permanent kind of thing?
I think
That's the question.
There's a big difference. Pausing for applause. There is a difference between temporary things and what is permanent.
Okay.
And there are things like concessions. I mean, not concessions in the sense of monetary concessions, but we're trying to figure out how to make this work for the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I could absolutely say, like, there is no, if somebody else brought up that there are parking, the parking is allowed on, I think they implied that it happens everywhere on the island. That doesn't make it legal. And so
Yeah.
I think we, in transitioning to working with the neighborhood, I believe we are trying to work within our existing laws and try to figure out a solution without creating an extra level of carve outs or exceptions or things that are become very difficult to enforce because it happens here or because it doesn't happen here or
Yeah,
in that sense. Yeah.
I guess it'd be nice for the board to understand what legal precedent you guys are doing the current 3-day parking thing as. Like, that's just the question.
So it's not legal. What you're saying, the 3-day weekend is not legal. It's an agreement that the city made with the past council member. And at that time, DTS director is our current MD, Mike Formby. So he is willing to continue it. We can change and make the 3-day weekends no parking anytime at all. Or we can stop doing the 3-day weekends altogether.
Okay, I think
So
we just
it's
wanted to
our-
understand.
It's our contribution to continue on what was there before. But at some point, any administration could end it or change it to 24/7, no parking.
Okay, I think
yeah.
that's just what we wanted to know, understand what the process was. My other question is, how much money are you guys requesting in the budget for this project?
Probably along the lines of, we have to do a few more estimates, but I believe we're going to ask for about $500,000.
And that's going to do all the things, or this is just
Signage
one
and
phase?
minor pavement extension and loading zones.
Okay, so just that, what's the
So
anticipated?
not all the options that are in the plan. It does not include the loading and unloading zones on the loop, as well as, some of the other bike racks and other parking and extra bus. It's only for the loop restriction and the side streets to get the parking there set. That's the 500,000.
To get the side streets?
Malcolm Mackay only. There also has been a request from the community to also look at the streets above Alapapa. So the Malka streets, the hillside ones, because now if we do just the loop and the Malcolm Mackay, they will move to the hillside. So you're just moving the problem. So we are also looking at what we would do for the hillside too. That does not include any of those streets. So be aware that could be a third phase that could come from the community as well.
So sorry, so the $500,000 is for the side streets to become one way and to create the parking spaces? Okay, yeah, thank you.
And for the signage. And just to be clear, the signage and the loop, I misspoke earlier. I thought that did include the loading zones. It does not, but the Mokulua Alapapa signage also.
That includes the increased buses?
No. So I'll restate one more time. The $500,000 that we're projecting is for signage along Mokulua and Alapapa, the extended pavement and signage and striping on the cross streets, and limited to that.
And the parking stalls on the cross streets also?
Yes, the striping on the cross streets, yes.
Okay. Kellyanne Kobayashi.
Hi, thank you for coming back and sharing with us. I wasn't able to ask questions at the last presentation about this, so I'm really glad you came back. So in regards to your question about the phasing, it sounds to me like if parking is illegal, on the loop, then, maybe if HPD just needs signs to enforce that, then I guess the signs should just go up because parking is illegal, as you've been stating. But what I'm really concerned about is that this whole plan and the implementation of this plan isn't really accounting for, like you guys just mentioned, that these cars are just going to go somewhere else. I'm worried that even when everything is done, there's just going to be less parking, which I understand that the Lanikai and Kauhau residents do want because that would reduce the amount of people coming. But I think that if you were to scope this proposal or this plan, which I know is already final, to the broader Kailua community and the community that still visits Kauhau Lanikai Beach that doesn't live in Kailua, that lives here, they would say things that Joe Cooper said earlier about how they won't be able to go to this beach that they go to often or they like to go to. They won't be able to take their kids on a family picnic all day because they won't be able to park between 10 and 4. If they get one of those very few stalls that sounds like will be created on the side streets. So I'm really concerned about, this kind of like exclusive access that's being created just for people who can afford to purchase a house in Lanikai Ka'ohau, or know someone who's going to let them park not on the unimproved sidewalk in front of their house, but actually in their driveway or on their property. And there are some people who have big yards, so I think they might allow their friends to park there, but I don't know anyone. And I've grown up going to Lanikai Beach. I learned to snorkel there. I learned practice stand-up paddle there. I taught other people to snorkel there. It's a very nice beach to do a lot of those things I just mentioned, and to spend a beach day. I live in Kailua. I don't know how if I had kids and a partner and multiple people, a picnic basket, a wagon, all those things, it'd be very hard for me to access. And I think it's unreasonable to assume people will be able to ride their bikes there. That means that a family would have to have a bike for every single member. Then there would have to be parking for their bike when they get to the beach, and they'd have to carry all their belongings on their bike. I think it's just saying that these people are no longer allowed to go to this beach anymore. And then if they do try to go, they're going to just try to park somewhere else, which is going to burden other streets near the beach in Kailua. Many streets in Kailua have to face visitors coming to park in order to access the beach and other stretches of Kailua shoreline. And they're dealing with it in other ways that isn't banning parking from in the middle of the day, which is when people want to go to the beach. So I just hope you are able to still consider scoping some of these phases as you implement them, or being receptive as more community members will come forward, I'm sure, to talk about how this is impacting them.
John White.
Can you guys hear me okay, Chair?
We hear you.
Thank you. Sorry I couldn't make it earlier, guys. Can you answer me what is the definition of unimproved sidewalk, please?
Hello. So the definition of an unimproved sidewalk is any sidewalk from the edge of the roadway, any area from the edge of the roadway to the city property line that is not paved or concrete. That is
Okay, and-
defined as the sidewalk area. Unimproved just means not paved, not concrete, not a asphalt path.
My
But anything
understanding,
from the
that's not
roadway,
the easement,
Sorry.
right? That's the easement where we put in the fire hydrants and we put the trash cans.
I'm sorry, can you
City-
repeat that?
To my understanding, that's a city and county easement. That's where the fire hydrants are installed, and where we put our
Yes.
trash cans on trash day, correct?
Yes.
So the
Yes.
wording is we are not allowed to park in that area?
Correct. On any
Anywhere.
unimproved or improved sidewalk in the traffic code is defined as the edge of the roadway to the property line between the city and the private ownership, correct? So that is where their poles are, your mailboxes, your fire hydrants, and where you also put your trash cans, correct? All the same space.
Thank you for clarifying. So my comment is, yeah, this is bullshit, you guys. I want no parking signs on my street too, because I have a lot of unimproved sidewalk. So does my family and my friends. The whole Kailua is unimproved sidewalk. That's where everybody parks. That's how it's been for a million years. And I live next to a park. We got soccer practice, baseball practice. I'm not crying. I bought the house intentionally. If you buy a house in Lanica, you know people are going to the beach. The issue at hand, which we need to remember, is emergency services could not get through a few different times, a fire truck and ambulance, which is unacceptable. They need to be able to get to where they need to go. But as far as accommodating just Lanikai for no parking, negative. Unless I get it on my street, I'll shut up. And all my friends and my family and the families I represent, I think this is, it's almost, you guys are catering to this community. And as a Kailua resident, I'm going to go Lanikai Beach whenever I want, and Kailua Beach, and Wabanalo Beach. I'm born in Hawaii. It's not a gated community. If that's the case, let's put a gate on over there and keep those guys inside. And they cannot come out without a pass, like the military base. But I think we're overthinking this, guys. Have a tow truck roam around. If they're blocking the street for the fire truck or the ambulance, tow them, bounce them out of there, and let's focus on fixing the roads and the potholes. I think that's more of an issue. Again, sorry, kind of making a person. It's a little bit loud over here, but I love you guys. Thank you.
All right, other board member comments? Jeremy Truscott.
Hey, Chair, thanks. Yes, I lived in Lanikai off of Alapapa from 2012 to 2017. So I understand the frustration with the parking and the traffic. But the fact is, Lanikai is probably one of the 10 most beautiful beaches in the world. There's an awesome hike up at the pillbox. So people want to visit there. Ever since I moved out of Lanikai, and I live all the way on the other end of Kailua now in Aikahi Park, I've probably went back 3 times just because it's become inaccessible. And the parking restrictions, I think it's going to make it even more inaccessible. It's a good launching point to take your kayak or your stand-up out to the Mokes. So a lot of these bicycle options and bus options are just not feasible. So I guess what are some of the plans in place to keep local residents able to access Lanikai and access the beach? I think everyone in Kailua should be able to.
Okay. Other comments? Evan Weber.
Yeah, I really appreciate the questions and comments from Kelly and John and Jeremy. And just want to acknowledge that, yeah, this is a conversation we've been having for a long time, and it is a really junk and shitty situation. But the reality of that situation is that the beach has been made inaccessible for the last 15 years by an inundation of tourists. That's what's making the beach inaccessible to local residents. And my friends haven't been going to that beach for a long time because everybody knows if it's a nice day, you're not driving in that direction because you might not get out. And local people, unlike tourists, we have places to be. We have jobs. We have doctor's appointments. We have engagements with our friends and family in different parts of the island. So I think DTS hands have been tied to try to figure out what is the balance here. And the comments that we've heard over the course of the last couple hours illustrate that. And you guys have been hearing these comments over and over again. And I think you're doing your best to balance the competing needs. The fact of the matter is, this is a final plan, and you guys are in implementation mode now, and you want to implement the first stages of it. So I think the spirit of all these comments, whether you're for or against, I appreciate that everyone's like, okay, let's get it moving and see how it goes. But there is going to continue to be, seeing how it goes. And there may be backlash. There may be people who are supporting it and want you to keep moving forward with the other pieces. I, for one, do think that adding that bus line will be really helpful. And you can bring choke stuff on the bus. I've done it since I was a kid, surfboards, paddles, whatever. So it would be great if maybe Esther, we can work with you and you guys to maybe advocate for that extra $500,000 for that extra bus line too, in the upcoming budget request, which will help with accessibility, particularly for local residents. But I guess it sounded like there was a request from you guys, which was to continue to use the Kailua Neighborhood Board as a venue to get formal feedback on the next phase of implementation. So I just wanted to check in on timeline and process for that. So Jade, I guess, would that look like considering this at your upcoming transportation meeting in January, and then having a motion from there about the question that's being raised?
Yeah, where we go from here is we understand the plan, and the plan has fairly widespread consensus. Not everybody's in 100% agreement. There are a few compromises made, but I think we're in generally widespread consensus with the overall plan. The concern has been the implementation timeline. And where we are at is it will take 12 to 15 months-ish with the fiscal 27 budget to get street widening, striping, and signs. The alternative is we could maybe get loop signs sooner. The concern is that what I call jungle rules, because they are not in conformance with ROH, that the jungle rules on the cross streets are going to get even worse if the loop no parking is enforced first, and there's a significant period of time. So I kind of agree with Mike Rosa that the preference is street widening and making it all at once, but is waiting 12 to 15 months too long? And we're going to take that up in our Transportation and Public Works Committee meeting in January and maybe February. You know, it's not going to be a quick topic to see if there is a consensus that develops in the Kailua Neighborhood Board as to one approach versus the other. But you know, I think also we have to say that the experts are at the Department of Transportation Services. I would also put a plug in, Esther Kiana, that if DTS is going to ask for 500,000 for street widening, signs, and striping, other things that are going to make a difference are bike racks and, you know, the 3 or 4 drop-off, 3-minute timed drop-off zones that, you know, I would ask DTS to factor in if the $500,000 plan is signs and striping and widening, would 700,000 cover the other 2 things that might make a difference sooner? Other things are going to take time. We've been long on record recommending a shuttle system for the pillbox trail, a reservation system, a check-in location in downtown Kailua or some other off-site location, and a shuttle that takes people that want to hike the pillbox trail in and a shuttle that takes them out. That's part of the plan also. And we've, for 4 years now, have taken a position and advocate that. We recognize that that's not a 12 to 15 month proposition, but let's not forget that also. So I think where we are is we have a well-established position that we provided a year ago that, together with the Lanikai Community and Lanikai Association, I think all of it was well considered by DTS in coming up with the plan. Now that we understand where you are on implementation, choices and possibilities, we're going to take that up next and see if, as a board, we might develop a consensus and establish a position on that. But we'll take that up at our January Transportation and Public Works Committee meeting. I want to say mahalo for the dialogue, mahalo for the thought that has gone into this. The one thing that I think I can safely say is everyone in this room, Lanikai residents, Kailua Neighborhood Board members, and members of DTS, all acknowledge the problems that are significant or severe that have gone on for 20 years. And we are encouraged that progress is being made and everyone's heart is in the right place. We want to work together to do what is best for all the communities. So thank you very much. We have 2 more presentations and 2 more motions tonight. Thank you. Resident and community concerns. We heard from the Olamana youth, and we've addressed where we are with the Lanikai plan. Are there any other resident and community concerns that we have missed on different topics?
My name's Len Rossoff. I'm a member.
Please hold the mic closer, sir.
Okay, sure. My name is Len Rossoff. I'm a member of the Second Community Windward Coalition, but I'm here as a resident of Kaneohe, asking the Kailua Neighborhood Board to help us out with the problem that we're having. There's a massive mangrove removal program. There's a massive mangrove removal program on MCBH, which has resulted, and that's been alluded to recently. And in fact, they're uprooting the mangroves. They're not cutting them back. Maybe more recently in the last few days, but the whole process has been heavy equipment extracting mangroves, as I was told by the community. And what that's resulted in is a terrific stench downwind. So all the communities downwind of the access road to the base on the Kaneohe side are experiencing this extensive stench. And this stench is consequent, as I'm sure many of you know, to the degrading of the vegetable material that's been there for decades by largely anaerobic bacteria and releasing volatile gases such as methane and hydrogen sulfide, which are, are the key ingredients to a high school stink bomb. But it isn't just a matter of smell, it's a matter of which has completely degraded the quality of life of the people downwind of the base. But it is also a health concern. So, but I'm going to be specific. So in terms of quality of life, people along in the subtended area, again, downwind of the base, have been spending more time indoors, keeping their kids more indoors. They have been using air conditioning, which of course, which doesn't work with hydrogen sulfide and methane, does nothing to diminish the exposure to hydrogen sulfide and methane. There also been an increase in purchases we did of fancy air purifiers, but even the best purifier does not touch H2S or methane. And the little carbon pre-filters help a little bit, but they're really largely ineffective. There's also been heightened anxiety because once people realized that the stench was coming from the mangrove extraction, that's correlated with water contamination as well, particularly with toxic metals, heavy metals, copper, arsenic, lead, which have been implicated in a lot of neurological problems, have been implicated in reproductive problems, long-term with cancer and other chronic illnesses. So there definitely is an impact on the quality of life. In terms of the specifics of the health impacts, people, report these complaints we have a website and respond to us directly. And the specific complaints that have been most alarming is that a marked increase in sleep disruption, nausea, headaches, There also been probably the key complaint are eye complaints. So people have had a lot of eye irritation, and people with pre-existing diseases have had exacerbations of those pre-existing eye diseases, even one case of corneal edema. There have been respiratory complaints, and we're aware of 2 hospitalizations that were probably attendant to exposure to the H2S. So we believe that there have been real health effects. We did inform the Department of Health, and they didn't canvass the community as we did, but they haven't gotten back to us in any specific findings. Then there's the actual specific issues of regulatory exceedances. To our best of our knowledge, we don't know if anybody is recording any of these levels. There are H2S meters and methane meters and others for volatile gases, but nobody's ever reported this, except we only have one data point, which apparently was confirmed by the base and was performed by the fire department, which was 0.4 parts per million. And 0.4 parts per million is, if you remember, is 400 parts per billion. And when that was released, the base said, well, that's not a problem at all, not a danger, it's not actionable information. And the Department of Health, I think, probably agreed. But that's likely an error of interpretation of the data. In an acute exposure, in a workplace, occupational exposure, that is a very small exposure, but those exposures are measured in 10-minute intervals.
Right.
For long-term exposures, the limit, Hawaii has probably the most lax exposure limits, and it was 17 times higher than that limit, and 20 to 200 times higher than the limits of most federal and state authorities.
Sir, I'm going to ask you to hold for a second.
Sure.
Our community and resident concerns are normally limited to 3 minutes.
I'm going to try.
And you, I believe you said you believe the source is from Marine Corps Base Hawaii.
Correct.
And have you communicated with Marine Corps Base Hawaii?
Yes, we have. Of course, unfortunately, a lot of the communications were impaired by the federal shutdown. And so they're not legally able to respond to anything.
Okay, Christy, are you still online?
Sorry?
Christy, are you still online for Marine Corps Base Hawaii? Our Marine Corps Base
Hi,
Hawaii?
good morning. Yes. No, I am. I'm here.
Okay, have you heard the comments on chronic low level exposure to hydrogen sulfide that is purportedly emanating from the base?
Yes, we've received several phone calls and emails, and the lieutenant has been in communication with a Paul, I think is his first name, Paul Sillin, and they've had several conversations and email exchange. And our team
are you
has
Paul?
also been.
He's a member of the affected community.
Okay.
And he's related his.
What I would ask is for you to please send me an email with all the detail that you would like. And I would like to refer it to Planning, Zoning, and Environment Committee, which meets on January 20th. Donna Wong is the chair. And Christy, I would like Marine Corps Base Hawaii to attend the meeting as well, where we would have more of an opportunity to discuss this at the depth that is needed to get our hands around what the situation is. So Christy, can you attend that meeting? And sir, can you attend the meeting?
I have to check to see if I can.
Okay, well, follow up with me both by email. I would like to have this on the agenda January 20th, and so we can give it its, the attention that it needs.
Let me just say very briefly, the base says that they're about 3/4 done, and as mentioned previously, it may be completed by the end of January. And one would argue, well, it's 3/4 done, why don't they just finish and be done with it, and then the smell will eventually go away. Unfortunately, in a warm climate with very little tidal activity, that soup will continue to brew for 3 months to a year. And we really would like them, the timing is terrible, but we really like them to stop extracting the mangroves, just cut them back, as Mr. Weller mentioned before. That would serve their security needs and stop the problem now rather than waiting another month and and plus the 3 or 4 or 6 months subsequent.
Right. This board can take no action tonight. It's not on our agenda. We would like to try to facilitate action in the future. And I trust you have my email address. It's billhicks@gmail.com. And we will try to help get to the bottom of it, but we're just not equipped to do anything tonight. Donna Wong.
Yes, I think the issue is much larger than just the mangrove on the base. Since we have mangrove removal in Kailua, like to explore proper ways of removing mangrove so that people don't get ill. So, wow, I think that this is a good example, one-time action. I think it's a broader discussion.
Right. Right. So thank you very much for bringing it to our attention tonight. We were not aware of any of these specifics, and we would like to learn more. January 20th, PZ&E, but in the meantime, continue the dialogue with Marine Corps Base Hawaii, and please loop me in on it. Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm here to announce that after 2 years with the construction of in front of Kalapawai store, we haven't done the Lanikai Triathlon. So the Lanikai Triathlon is scheduled for April, I know I'm a little early, April 19th for next year. It's a race that we are doing for the 21st year. We start that event beginning in 2000. And we're doing for the 21st year. It's a race that a lot of participants are from Kailua. I would like to mention that we do limit the entry in order to accommodate, the town and don't cause a lot of problems. We do start the event at 6:00. It's a short 500-meter swim, followed by a 10-mile bike and then a 4-mile run. So most of the athletes finish by 8:00 in the morning. The first guys finish before 7. So before everybody wake up, and we do have a large number of special duty police officers, lifeguards, and so on. So we're glad to announce that it's coming back April 19th, 2026.
All right. And that is a Sunday. So Sunday morning, 6 a.m., April 19th.
It's a Sunday morning, and we accommodate all the church time, even though we start and finish. Because the main traffic is caused by the bicycle, but the bicycle, they start on the road at 6:15. As soon as the sun comes up, we start the race at 6:10. By 6:15, the bicycle starts, and they'll be done probably around 7:25, and then they go for the run. So it's a pretty safe event. We love to be here, and we're back after 2 years. And if you guys have any question, I'd like to answer questions for you guys.
Okay, mahalo for the heads up.
Mahalo. And I would like to mention too that when I apply for the permits, I mentioned to you.
This will be included in our minutes.
Oh, no, will be 1 second. When I applied, there was another race that was applied for the same time, but I talked to those people, and we working together. So instead of having 2 events in 1 month, we're just going to have 1 event.
Perfect. Very good. Mahalo. Okay, we will move on quickly to mayor and governor reports. Jim Ireland or Shane Enright. Okay, we're going to move on to Governor Green's representative, Aaron Connor Jerome.
Good evening. Nothing major to report. I did just want to bring the board and the community members some updates from Department of Transportation, HDOT, not DTS. Throughout this year, there were a number of projects that DOT had talked about working on. So I just want to give you an update as the end of the year is approaching. At one point, there was a request to clean the mold off the signs on H3, and that was supposed to be done in September. Signs were completed on the Halava side of H3. Crews will clean the signs on the windward side in the month of December, so that should be done soon. There was obviously requests for repaving of Kailua Road from Kalane Anaole down to Hamakua. It was said to be completed in 2025. As we're in December right now, we know that's not the case. The repaving of Kailua Road will take place after the installation of the traffic signals that are going up this week, actually, at oh my God, I can't read this, Uluoa Street and Ulumanu Drive. And as far as the update on those traffic installations, there have been closures. There was some closures today to install 2 mast arms. Next week, there will be closures as well, December 8th, December 9th, from 10 to 11 a.m. Daily work continues 8:30 to 3 p.m. And DOT will announce additional work, widening, striping, sign installations, removal of raised crosswalks as it gets scheduled. Recently, one of the bases for the mast arm was damaged by a motor vehicle collision. So crews are assessing if the base can be repaired or needs to be replaced. Just as an update, the project completion date is estimated to be January 2026. So those are the updates from DOT that affect our windward residents that I wanted to provide to you, and I'm open for any questions.
All right, any questions for Aaron tonight? Very Weller.
How are you tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Fine. Couple of things. I believe that Mukapo, is that a state road?
Up to the traffic light.
Up to where?
The traffic light where Mokapu meets Kalaheo.
So who owns from the traffic light to the base?
I believe it's the city.
I'm sorry, you
I
do?
believe it's the city.
Okay. The grass is almost up to my waist. Okay, I don't know who your contractors are, but I've looked at these contracts and the grass is never supposed to be more than 1 inch high. So your contractors are not doing their job. And that's the same as on the Kailua Road from the Poly all the way into Kailua town. The grass is coming through the guardrails, way over the side of the road, all the way up to Castle Junction, all the way down. And then every day now, for other reasons, I've had to go to Waimanalo. And that road is so bad, so many potholes, it's unbelievable. And I've been talking to the fire department, and I think it might be a combination of the state and the county. But there's 2 lamp posts on that road going from Castle Junction to Waimanalo for the Olamana Fire Department. The lights have been missing on the emergency lights there since 2006. And so I was driving a couple days ago, and without any warning, the fire department started to come out of the firehouse, and cars were speeding there trying to get home to Waimanalo at the end of the day, and they almost smacked into the fire department truck.
Those are street lights that are missing?
No, these are flashing amber lights when emergency vehicles are egressing from the fire station.
And the
The lights
poles are-
exist in the Castle Hospital direction. The lights do not exist in the Waimanalo direction. If you could give us a report on that next meeting, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Okay, mahalo.
Thank you.
Elected official reports, Councilmember Esther Kiana.
Thank you. First, thank you to the board for your resolution on the on historic preservation funding. And I did take note of your resolution that you passed with regard to the single family home that's being built. So I didn't really know the details, so I will look into that. Many of you may have gotten an email, but for those of you who are unaware, we had voting for the top 8 community proposals for Kailua stormwater improvements. And you can find the top 8 at kailipulustormwater.org. And Levani, I need to let you know that they have stated that they would like to work with your subcommittee prior to the next community meeting, which will likely be in February or March of next year. So just thank you for all your hard work on that. With regard to Lani Huli and Cinnamon's parking lot updates, on November 13th, after the Kalapawai roundabout blessing, I went with the Deputy Director Nouchi to both sites to just assess what was going on there. I do know that you have a resolution, and Jade, I'm gonna have to zip off because I have to go finish writing a speech for tomorrow morning. But at the end of the day, while I appreciate the advocacy of the community and the residents, the fact of the matter is the property management team has to do its job to clearly articulate in writing, know who they're writing to, what parameters of the number of parking they're asking for, et cetera. That is something that I was working on years ago with the former team. Quite frankly, they never sent the letter. So whatever is going on now, all I'm just saying is I can't do anything more that those in an authority to do so are not doing. So I just want to let you know that. But I did talk a little bit about the reimbursement issue that evidently was negotiated between the city and Lani Huli. And supposedly for improvements that were made there, the city was supposed to reimburse them. John was on site. He's going to work with his team. They believe that there is a pathway forward as opposed to just asking for all of the receipts. You're talking about a long time, right? So that was forward movement progress as far as I'm concerned. With regard to the parking lot, I met with DTS, the developer, and the mayor's rep who was there. They negotiated that the contractor for the housing development will not be kicked out of the parking lot. They were going to kick them out before Thanksgiving and have them come back after the archaeological survey would be completed in January. And so they negotiated that they were going to decrease their footprint in the parking lot and that they would be able to continue there. But the idea being that when DDC does the archaeological inventory in January, that they would be able to move as necessary so that they could go into that area that they're at. For my part, I still express my opposition to the archaeological survey being conducted at this time. It makes no sense. They should wait to the completion of the development project, which is projected in summer. I'm quite certain that they are going to find Iwi Kupuna in the parking lot, and it's going to just extend the overall chaos of parking in the parking lot and the duration of the affordable housing project. And then lastly, I mentioned Bill 63 CD1 2025, which is my bill to help those who have second homes, residential A units, by incentivizing them to rent it out for a longer period of time, 12 months minimum. If they were to do so and dedicate the property for 5 years and rent it at 100% of the area median income, it doesn't mean they need to meet that threshold, then they would get the residential rate of $3.50 as opposed to the residential A rate which is $4 up to $1 million and $11.40 for $1 million above. The twofold objective is to increase the inventory of rentals for local families. And second, to actually help a lot of local families because they can't afford the residential A rate. They're waiting for their children or grandchildren to be of age to take the home, but a lot of them are on the verge of losing their homes because they cannot afford it. So anyway, I just want to let you know about that. It passed second reading. We're going to have a hearing in January for the final hearing, and I'm expecting hopefully full passage on January 28th at full council. And that's my report.
Okay, mahalo. Okay, 10-second questions. Donna Wong.
Bill 63 is what you just explained. Is that your CD1?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And what I did was I amended the current law and took off all of the bureaucratic red tape and penalties in it to make it easier. Current law is 80% AMI. No one was taking advantage of it because they make more money gouging people for rentals as opposed to helping local families. I'm increasing it so that they might meet that threshold to make money and rent it to local families.
Gary Weller.
Esther, thank you very much for working on that parking lot. I went there the other day for some testing, and one of the problems too is that building is getting all kinds of supplies. So when I was there, there was 5 flatbed trucks driving around trying to find some way to offload whatever they were going to deliver to that building. And then the medical building also gets deliveries. So it's a very, very busy parking lot, as you probably know.
Absolutely. And what was happening was the employees were taking all the parking lots in the Cinnamon parking lot. And then after they were booted out, they were parking in the library or this parking lot. So we closed the loop on that. We're working with the DPR director here and the community policing team. They're going to be allowed to park on the unimproved sidewalks, not in the parking lot because they were taking it away from people who are coming to the park. So I hear you. Anyway, good night, you guys. I got to go home.
Okay, mahalo. Representative Mike Lee. Representative Scott Matayoshi. Representative Lisa Martin.
The video is not coming on, but can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to say Mike Lee asked me to share with you folks that he is sick and not able to make it tonight. I'm here for questions, but I did want to mention we've had some action with shelters for homeless recently. So in Waimanalo, there was a groundbreaking for Hui Mahi Aina for their new site that will be 2 code out of the flood zone for about 200 people, which is a terrific resource for the windward side. Also in Waimanalo, there is a planned expansion of the Waimanalo Emergency Shelter with another 20 units being built in the very large and underutilized parking lot. And that construction is, the resources are all on island, and that construction is expected to start within the next month. Also, I went to Maui to visit our first kauhale that is on a neighbor island, which is now completed with 64 units of prefab units brought in from Korea, actually, that are organized in a very nice community space. And that is just completed and ready for people to move in. So we are seeing a little bit of expansion of places for people to go to get off the street, out of our parks, and get the services that they need to hopefully, better themselves and move on in life. I did just paste in the chat a new resource called www.findhelp.org. And there you can go and get information on all benefits that might help our low-income residents. including a very, very generous subsidy for households with a child that are low income that will help with rent or mortgage payments for 4 months, as well as utilities. So that is pretty significant. And that is being used from TANF funds, which is why it only applies to households with children. And that's $100 million is being spent towards that as kind of an economic benefit. Another thing that you would find through the findhelp.org is an OHA program to help specifically Hawaiian kupuna who wouldn't qualify for this TANF program, and also federal workers who lost income who happen to also be Native Hawaiian. And a broad, every other kind of benefit that people might qualify for. So if you do know someone who is struggling, even if it is temporary due to the shutdown, due to loss of a federal job, please tell them to go to findhelp.org so they can connect with all the resources available. And with that, I'm open for questions.
Okay, mahalo, Lisa. We wish you a Merry Christmas and thank you for sticking with us tonight.
Sure.
And any questions? Okay. And I'm sorry I went out of order. Senator Jarrett Keohokalole.
Chair, members of the board, members of the community, aloha. Kailua High School parents and alumni, congratulations on the football team's state championship. Yeah, the state championship is no small deal. So Representative Martin is taking the lead on some legislative commendations that we're going to do for the football team. But yeah, congratulations, big deal. The legislative session opens in 2021 on January 21st. We have dark clouds on the horizon from a state budgetary standpoint. There's been a slowdown in construction and a slowdown in tourism. The state legislature is required to pass a balanced budget pursuant to the Constitution on a 6-year financial plan that's dictated by the State Council on Revenues, which is a collection of economic experts that analyze our economic data and make projections. They give us the tax revenue projections for the next 24 quarters, and then we have to budget accordingly. They meet at the end of December, and they will provide us those numbers in January. We are expecting poor numbers, which will put us in either a tight situation or potentially a cut situation. So not to dampen the mood, but we are going to see a challenging legislative session this year. If any of you have particular priorities or questions or issues you would like to discuss, happy to do so now while we have two months to prepare and have a dialogue going forward. Last year, if you recall, one of my main responsibilities as the Commerce Chair was dealing with the property insurance crisis. We passed legislation in July to address the lack of hurricane insurance coverage, primarily in the vertical condominium market. That program has worked exceedingly well. We've had upwards of 60 buildings, full buildings in Honolulu, receive coverage through the Hawaii Hurricane Relief Fund, which is basically a public property insurance option that was created after Hurricane Iniki hit and the commercial insurers all fled the market. We reinitiated that program in the summertime, and many condominiums have been getting insurance access there when they couldn't get coverage or when they were when they were forced to seek coverage from foreign carriers who are not regulated in Hawaii, who are charging really exorbitant prices. Because the program has worked so well, we're going to come back this year and try and take a look at whether we can make tweaks to the program so that it can expand access to townhouses, other community associations. So if there's anyone here that's on board leadership in a community association and you folks are struggling with premium payments, we can't promise that we'll bring the prices dramatically down, but we might be able to provide a public option that would require your insurer to maybe match and drop the premiums. That's what's been going on in Honolulu. the night is late, I'll stop there and I'm happy to take questions.
Any questions? All right, thanks for being with us tonight.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays. Senator Chris Lee. Talolu Samafua representing Representative Takuda. We'll skip reports from members who attended other meetings. My sincere apologies. The park closes in 5 minutes. We just simply are not going to be able to handle any presentations this evening. We will reschedule for February or March, and my sincere apologies for being with us this late, but we have to vacate the property. I am so sorry. There are 2 individual motions, and we could dedicate about 1 minute on each if we think that we can do that. All right, everyone has read these motions in advance. The first motion is concerned that the number of reserved resident parking spaces set aside in the Lanahuli elderly apartments parking structure is inadequate and a hardship exists. And we encourage the Department of Transportation Services to adjust the number of parking spaces. Some of the data collected, on average, there are 40 empty parking spaces in peak periods and 100 empty parking spaces in non-peak periods. There are currently 20 spaces that are reserved, and there's a waiting list for 18. The motion urges DTS to provide more reserved parking spaces. Jade, any addition to the motion?
The biggest addition to the emotion behind this motion is it would be helpful to have the resolution on the record so that DTS knows the light is being shown, but more importantly, that Honolulu Affordable Properties, who is the property managers, who keep pointing the finger back at the city saying they won't work with us, our motion will give the support that Esther needs and that DTS needs to speak to the property managers to get them to follow through. That's the movement behind the motion.
Is there a second on the motion? Seconded by Max Markridge. Is there any discussion? Okay, I call for the motion. Emily Andrade, Bruce Andrews,
Abstain.
abstain. Jennifer Barra, yes. Anna Milia Kia, yes. Kellyanne Kobayashi, David Laya, abstain. Jade Lau, yes. Lavani Lipton, yes. Max Markridge, yes. Kate Ryder, Kalama Souza, Willie Tomes, Steve Trecker, Jeremy Truskin, yes. Evan Weber, yes. Gary Weller, yes. John White,
Abstain.
abstain. Donna Wong, yes. Chair votes yes. The motion passes. 10 in favor,
Thank you all.
0 opposed, 3 abstain. The other individual motion is that the Kailua Neighborhood Board urges the Hawaii State Legislature pursuant to Senate Rule 67, House Rule 46, to immediately convene an investigative committee vested to hold hearings around the alleged transaction of $35,000 accepted in cash by a legislator. This is Donna Wong's motion. Is there a second?
I move.
Donna moves. Gary seconds. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, is there like an ethics committee who's responsible for looking into this, or a law enforcement agency, or how is the neighborhood board kind of involved with this?
It's campaign spending commission, and it's being investigated by the feds, and this is asking the state legislature to get involved additionally to all that, because nobody is actually getting to the bottom of it.
So my understanding is this motion just puts on record, we want them to continue to look into this because this is serious.
We urge the legislature to investigate is the purpose of the motion. Any other discussion? We'll vote. Emily Andrade, Bruce Andrews.
Yes.
Yes. Jennifer Barra. Yes. Ana Malia Kia. Yes. Kellyanne Kobayashi. David Laia. Yes. Jade Lau. Yes. Levani Lipton. Yes. Max Markridge. Yes. Kate Ryder. Kalama Souza. Malia Tomes. Steve Trecker. Jeremy Treskin. Yes. Evan Weber. Yes. Gary Weller. Yes. John White.
Aye,
Yes.
Chair.
John White, yes. Don Wong? Yes. Chair votes yes. Okay, that motion passes unanimously with 13 votes. Any corrections to our November 6 minutes? Minutes stand approved as written. Community reports stand as published. We'll defer committee membership motions, and committee agendas are due to me for January by December 21st. This meeting is adjourned at 10:03. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Love you guys.